Vinland Saga, a tale based on the true stories of the Vikings of the 11th century. A combination of the lifestyle of one of the most extraordinary nation of people and the proficiency of experienced writers has created this masterpiece. The characters in this show are gonna make your eyes glued to the screen and attract you to the world of Vikings with their personality, their way of living, and of course their way of fighting in the warfield. Now, like I said before, in this show we get to see the rich lores of the Vikings with a side of tragic, inhumane action, torture, and brutal wars. Then again, some awesome OST and action-packed fights among the warriors of different nations and armies. And each of these warriors are so good, both as a fighter and a character, that you're gonna be having a hard time rooting for just any one of these groups or people, especially when you think one of them is pretty decent and there's a possibility that they're the good guy, and the next thing you see is them murdering some innocent people mercilessly. Now let's talk about the warriors themselves, starting off with Thor, who steals and nails the first impression of this show with his life story, solid ethics, and good advices for living a justified life. He's the father of the main character of this show, who kind of gives off white bear vibes in the warfield. He's one of the strongest men among the Vikings, a one-punch man sometimes, and not to forget a man who the viewers can fully respect and admire. Next up is Thorkel, whose likable character more on the battlefield with his ruthless fighting styles, long spear throws, and axe chops, which are gonna make you hyped in an instant. And what makes it better is his fitting voice actor with his awesome way of speaking. Next, the main character, Thorfinn, who changed from cute to rebellious to this spoiled brat in a span of 3 episodes, and doesn't have that much of a likable character in the anime, except for the characteristic of never giving up or fighting any physical or mental obstacles to achieve his goal, like every shonen protagonist ever. But he gets a lot more interesting and good looking as he gets this awful look off his face, as we can see in the upcoming arc of the manga. Canute, the Prince of Denmark. Yeah, prince, not princess, who starts off with a princess-like and shy personality, who evolves into an intimidating and respectable character after all the lessons and morals he learned from his childhood finally makes sense to him, and the points in his head finally connects with one another, making him a strong-willed person and a much more matured person, who also goes on and forms a biased ethic of his own after the major and tragic incident in the later parts of the show, and the part of the scene truly made me drop a few tears, and it's probably gonna do the same thing to you guys too. And then finally, Asled. Boy oh boy. The one who's covered in ash. The meaning of his name only fills up the coolness bar to the top. This guy delivers this unique vibe of a capable and dangerous person with professionalism in his work. He's a quick-witted man with really high caliber who can manipulate the minds of his foes easily by his smart talking and charisma into his favor in every battle he fights and every kind of battle he fights. And if all this wasn't cool enough, his sad and cruel backstory explaining the origin of his nature and the origin of his name is gonna totally make you invested in this character. He is a character many different kinds of people can look up to. And another thing which cannot go unmentioned is, after killing Thorfinn's dad, Asled kind of became more of a father figure to Thorfinn rather than being the main villain of the story, which is a pretty nice turn to this character. You're not gonna be expecting him to be this cool and admirable of a character when he's introduced in the first 3 episodes. Almost every one of the major characters of Vinland Saga has something to teach you with their own perspective on the way of living. The mangaka did some really good job on developing these characters and making them a good influence on the viewers. You can't just pick one or two of your favorite characters among these because each one of them is that good of an addition to the story. Heck, even a character appearing for one half of an episode will make you fall for her. Okay, I talked a lot about the characters. Now, if we take a look at the story build and storyline of Vinland Saga a little bit, we're gonna see that the first half of the show mostly focuses on the characters' introductions and their perspective in the story. The latter half includes mostly the development of the story, which is influencing each character and their development due to the impact of other characters. Dirty royal politics, mind games among the warriors in the battlefield are seen here and there. The evil, cruel, and selfish side of the Vikings are seen on certain parts, which really makes you think whether you should root for them or not. Then again, you're gonna be seeing evils among evil, betrayers among the betrayers, which is gonna make a huge mess in the progression of the story. What I mean by that is, the scenario which was presumed to happen from the build-up of the last few episodes totally took a very, very different turn. But pretty soon enough, a good enough twist comes up to tighten up all the messy and loose ends in this storyline. Judging from that unexpected turn, something royal and epic was about to happen in the warfield under the leadership of the most outstanding mastermind, and a big fight among the two major forces was supposed to happen in the conclusion. But again, the ending was even more unexpected. It was quote-unquote rushed and was on a pretty weird conclusion, finishing how it was not supposed to finish, but still, it made adrenaline rush through all over my body. It was still pretty meaningful and justified, but that conclusion made me realize that this was only the prologue of this masterpiece story. In the next arc of the story, sourced from the manga, as I mentioned before, Thorfinn is finally maturing from his rebellious teen phase and promising the continuity of the tale of the Vikings with new promising characters who are hopefully as good as the aforementioned ones. So, until season 2 comes out, let us just remember this amazing masterpiece in our hearts and appreciate this amazing outro. Those of you who are still here and listening, thanks for watching the whole video, and please subscribe to my channel and help a fellow weeb out.